As mentioned, brand new listing this week, in fact, on the NEO exchange here in Toronto. Versus Technology, VERS is going to be the ticker if you want to look it up on, again, the NEO exchange. Described as a network operating system provider that powers context-aware applications, which close the gap between digital and physical systems. We're happy to have Gabriel René, who is the founder and CEO of the company, with us today. Great to see you, Gabriel. Well, welcome to the show. First of all, congratulations on the listing this week. Big week for the company. Describe what we're talking about here when it comes to Versus for everyone. We'll get into the OS. I want to talk about the OS a little bit because it's very interesting. Did some reading on it yesterday, but tell everyone a little bit about Versus.
First of all, thanks for having me today here on Trader TV. It's a real honor to take a company from private to public, and the Canadian markets have been a really exciting opportunity for us. So, I guess in a nutshell, I would say that what we're developing is an entirely new way to apply artificial intelligence applications to real world scenarios. So think about how to bring the power of systems and applications that can begin to sense, understand, and then even act and react to situations in the physical world as well as the digital world. So think optimization for smart warehouses, smart retail, smart ports, certainly smart industrial environments, but eventually moving on to a whole generation of smarter applications for anything.
COSM, C-O-S-M, correct me if I'm not pronouncing that right, but C-O-S-M is the operating system, the OS that we're developing, or the company's developing on the AI side. What do we need to know here when it comes to the actual operating system?
Well, think back to that moment in time when the markets had taken their last big dip, the 2008 period. Mark Andreessen of Andreessen Horowitz, one of the largest investors in Silicon Valley, and kind of a gentleman who's picked a lot of the biggest stock wins in history, made a really astute analysis in this last week. And he said, when the markets, financial markets crashed in 2008, the technology world doesn't look at the world through that same lens. We kind of look at it through the valley periods and the hill periods. So in the valleys, everyone's looking around, what's the next big thing? And then there's several hills that emerge. At the time, you remember cloud started to come out, right? So if you invested in Amazon, you made some money. Apple dropped iOS, and the smartphone revolution came out, and Facebook and social media started to explode. So you had social, you had mobile, you had cloud, and these were all relatively new terms. But those were some of the best bets you could have made in that downturn market. Those new terms of today are things like artificial intelligence or AI, Internet of Things, edge compute, augmented and virtual reality. And those sound about as foreign today to most people on the street as the cloud, mobile, and social sounded in 2008, 2009. But these are the kind of bets that really, if you get on the hill, when the technology companies are getting on the hill, you can find real gems that go on to not only change the world, but be a great investment. So
go ahead.
Well, just to bring it home, there was a time before we had apps, and that was that 2008, 2007, 2008 period. We didn't have smartphones. Phones weren't smart. We could play Snake on a Nokia phone. Nokia is gone now, effectively, and Apple with iOS and Android developed a new kind of operating system for a new kind of application, and those are the apps that we use today. And just a few years after they launched, we went from having 0 apps to having millions of applications with millions of developers. And so really where we are now is that artificial intelligence is that new heart of the next generation of applications that are just smarter. They're able to work with Internet of Things devices, sensors, smart home sensors that intelligently understand when you're coming in and out. But this applies all the way out into our streets and drones and robotics and autonomous vehicles. And so the ability to really have a next generation of application developers that can develop on that type of operating system for not just digital, but sort of real world digitally mediated activities is the basis of our operating system and the platform. We think this is that shift towards a new, smarter type of application for anything. Just like we used to have an app for that, now we'll have a smarter app for that.
So this is a relatively new idea and relatively new concept for the company. I'm speaking of specifically, in fact, coming up on the 1-year milestone for the software itself and for this idea itself. Walk us through this timeline here, I guess, Gabriel, as we get to the public markets now after the 1-year timeline. What have been some of the, I guess, bigger challenges? What have been some of the milestones that have come along the way in, a relatively short amount of time?
Yeah, so the interesting thing is a lot. Usually, if you hear about artificial intelligence, you hear about them applying these sort of algorithmic logic systems, to something like bank fraud or finance, or discovering insights and deriving at analytics. And at that point, it's as if the AI sort of hands some information to the human and says, "Hey, here's what we figured out so far. Go ahead and do the rest." What we wanted to do is take digital transformation, which has been relatively easy for disrupting, say, news or media or finance industries, but really difficult for manufacturing or construction or logistics, supply chain. So take that and see if you could get AI to really help augment human workers in the real world. So take warehouses as an example. That's the squeeze point for the global supply chain. If we really want to look at the heartbeat of the economy at the planetary scale, this is where the activity happens. Turns out 90% of these environments are actually not highly automated. They're just human workers wandering through a 100,000 million square foot facility trying to find something. It's as if your job is being lost in IKEA. And so what we wanted to do is use the power of artificial intelligence to develop applications to route workers through the insides of warehouses to the exact locations of the products they're looking for and get them out the door as fast as possible. In the same way that an Uber driver or a DoorDash driver is routed through the city via their maps. So we're able to do that, and we deployed that with our first customer and resulted in a 35 to 50% productivity gains, which we've now seen deployed over 15 warehouses internationally. This resulted in a $34 million contract because we were able to essentially save the customer $8 million a year and charge them $3 million. So that kind of power, when you add 35 to 50% productivity in a warehouse environment and scale that out to now pilots with large manufacturers, large consumer companies, large pharmaceutical companies with not just 15 warehouses, but thousands and thousands of locations around the world. That's how much we've grown in 1 year. So just being able to deploy that into those kinds of environments and drive the power of AI automation to augment workers results in such a powerful economic result, and especially in a downturn market, we've just gotten a storm of demand and interest from customers that want to do the same in other industries.
It's very interesting, very interesting topic, guys. Check out the website, versus.io. And as you said, I mean, if you compare this to, the beginning of the cloud revolution when it comes to technology, only the beginning. And if it's that kind of an opportunity, obviously a huge opportunity still to come in the AI space. Absolute pleasure, as we said. Versus, guys, on the NEO exchange, VERS is the ticker. Check it out. Gabriel René is founder and CEO of the company. We appreciate your time today. Have a great weekend.
Thank you for having me. Take care.